straight. They're like literally like, it's almost like you went to get a Brazilian blowout. Everything is like super, super straight. Hi guys, and welcome back to Skilled. So today I figured because our three-bead method is just so popular, everyone uses the three-bead method, and you guys seem to really like the video that I put together to help explain how the three-bead method works. I figured that I'm gonna show you guys actually what's my favorite way of application, which is the two-bead method. The reason why I do like the two-bead method a little bit better than the three-bead method, honestly, is because it's more efficient. Instead of using, 3 beads times 10 fingers, I'm essentially using 2 beads times, 10 fingers as well. So significantly, the two-bead method is going to really help you to cut down your time, but it's still going to make your application process really easy, and I promise you it is not difficult at all. So first off, before we get started, I want to show you guys a little bit about Kolinsky brushes and why it's so important that you're buying a true 100% Kolinsky brush. I do want to go over the difference in your Kolinsky brushes. So I actually have here two number 10 100% Kolinsky brush. One that I bought off of Amazon like a very long time ago, and then the other one is one that I bought from Macart Pro. So what exactly is the main difference between the two of them? It is not necessarily the look of them, but rather what they're made from. So this Kolinsky brush here, this blue one here, this Kolinsky brush is made from partial synthetic. So what that means is, even though they advertised it to be a Kolinsky brush, what they mean is that there's literally like one strand of Kolinsky and then the rest of it is all just, synthetic, which is man-made hairs. Now this one here is from Macart Pro. This is a true 100% Kolinsky brush. Let's take a look at them together when they're now hydrated. So let's start by using this Amazon brush. So let's dunk it into the monomer and let's try to pick some up. You'll notice that the first thing is that it retains a lot less monomer, and much of that monomer seems to be dripping out of the brush. But also, even though they're both advertised to be size number 10, I don't know why, but this one is like much smaller. Now let's try the Macart Pro brush. So let's go ahead and dunk it into our monomer, pick it up. The first thing you're going to notice is that the retention of the liquid in the bristles is a lot significantly much better than the Amazon brush. There is a reason for this. It is because of what they're made from. So synthetic brushes are made from man-made hairs, while Kolinsky brushes are made from, well, Kolinsky, which is weasels. When you have true natural weasel hair on your brush, it'll suck up all that monomer because it's porous and it'll keep it inside the bristles. So therefore making your bristle also a lot more bigger, puffier, and just a lot richer. Man-made hair, which is also what I call synthetic hairs, they're all straight. They're like literally like, it's almost like you went to get a Brazilian blowout. Everything is like super, super straight, which does not allow them to retain that monomer, which also makes the body of the brush a lot smaller. So even though this brush here might have a lot more bristles in them, it's going to always be a little smaller. So if you guys remember from my liquid to powder ratio, how big your bead is depends on how much monomer you keep inside your brush. If your brush does not have a lot of monomer, it honestly doesn't matter how much powder you're picking up. You're going to end up with a very small bead. But if you've kept a lot of monomer in your bristles and you go and pick up the powder, then it's going to suck up so much powder that your acrylic bead is going to be a lot bigger. So let's give this a try. So this is a cover acrylic powder from Macart Pro. It's called Vanilla Cream. Let's go ahead and pick up our two different beads. The first bead that I'm going to pick up is with my blue brush, fully submerging that into the dapping dish, one light tap into the tip of the brush, and let's go in and pick up our first bead. As you can see, this pearl is very small, which is fine. Like if you're good with working with super, super small pearls, you still can, but you're just gonna end up working with like 10 of these beads just to cover one nail. That is going to slow down your time. Now let's try our 100% Kolinsky brush from Macart Pro. Fully submerging that brush into the dapping dish, pick it up, one light tap towards the tip, 45-degree angle into our powder, and tap and one bounce. And as we can see, the size of this bead is significantly much bigger. In fact, the smallest size 100% Kolinsky brush, which for us is a size 8, is going to pick up a much bigger bead than a synthetic size 16. Now let's do a quick comparison here. Look at the size of that. That is a huge difference. So if you're a beginner nail tech and you've been trying everything, you've been trying to upgrade your brushes from like a size 8 all the way to a size 16, and you're buying synthetic brushes and you're wondering why your beads are still so small, it's because you can't compare. You can't even compare a size 16 synthetic brush to a size 8 Kolinsky brush. The size 8 100% true Kolinsky brush will still be 10 times bigger than your size 16 synthetic brush. So it's important that you guys are wise about your purchases. It's important that you spend the time to research what you're buying. And it's also important for you to understand the difference between buying quality professional grade products versus buying fun, cheap, DIY based products. You can do them for fun all you want, but if you're going to actually make this your career, you got to be serious about your career, but also the products that you are purchasing for your career, you also got to take that seriously too. Okay, so now that we've established what is the proper tool to use when you're working with acrylic, let's take my 100% Kolinsky brush in size number 10 and let's go and apply my two-bead method. Now, there's 3 things that I want you guys to remember when working with a two-bead method. Number 1 is when you're applying that first bead, you want to put it a little bit higher than maybe what you usually do with a 3-bead method. So if you're applying your first bead down here for your 3-bead method, I want you to place your first bead all the way up here for your 2-bead method. This is so that the acrylic is going to be able to cover the majority of the nail so that you're not trying to make like a giant cuticle / apex bead. So let's start there first. So let's pick up some monomer. And let's pick up our powder. So always remember, flip your brush around before you start working with it and just let the acrylic settle on the brush first. Vanilla Cream is a beautiful shade. It's a very natural kind of pinkish nude shade, which I love. All right, let's go ahead and now start tapping this acrylic in first. Always make sure that you guys are also feathering out the very top of the bead when you're working with that first bead. I see a lot of girls with retention issues, and usually what it is that you're not tapping away the very top and feathering it out, because if you don't feather out the top of the acrylic bead, then it's going to pool and you're actually not going to have any acrylic on the nail. It's just going to be like the acrylic sticking up kind of halfway on the nail. And when you cover your last acrylic bead, which is your cuticle bead / apex bead, there's going to be a giant gap under the nail, which we don't want. Okay, once we get to this area where the acrylic has now started to stiffen up, now you can start swiping on that. And if you guys remember all the education that I've ever provided to you guys, it's really something that you don't want to do, which is start swiping a little too early. You don't want to start with swiping. You want to end with the swiping. All right, so let's click that out of there. Oops. Let's cut that acrylic out, and then let's shape the tip one more time. All good, run it down on the side. All right, so once you have your first bead down, let's go back in and do our second bead. Just remember, when you're working with that second bead, not only does it have to be your cuticle bead, it's also got to be your apex bead. So when you place that acrylic bead down, point the klein fingers downwards, work on flushing out the top half of the bead first, then you can blend out the bottom. Try not to touch the middle of the bead, which is where your apex is going to be, until the very end when the acrylic has had an opportunity to set. So let's go ahead and pick up our medium-sized bead first. Same thing, flip the brush around, let it polymerize for a little bit on your brush first. Then pointing the client fingers downwards. You want to work on the very top half of the bead first. So let's go ahead and flush out the cuticle area first. Just blend that in. Tap on the acrylic. And then same as before, you're going to carry it from the sides. Fold in the sides, and then blend it back down into the first bead. Blend, blend, blend. And now that the middle part of the bead has had an opportunity to set, you can always go back and flush out the cuticle even more. Blend, 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 make it nice and smooth. And your two-bead acrylic application should look like this. Very easy, very simple, not hard to do at all. In fact, it's going to really help you to cut down the time that you spend on applying acrylic. And if you're doing everything three beads, even when you're working on a little tiny nail, then your appointments are going to be like 5-6 hours long. And we don't got time for that, because time is money for us, right? The more time you have, the more clients you can take, but also the more time you can go and spend the money that you make off of doing nails, which is a very, very good income, by the way. Alrighty guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this really quick and easy two-bead method application, and I'll see you guys on the next skilled episode where we're gonna go over how to file, how to remove your acrylic using the newest Luxuria Pro e-file from Macart Pro. I'll see you guys all there, because look, acrylic is not harmful for your nails, okay? I wanna set that straight. Acrylic is only harmful when you're removing it incorrectly. So I'll see you guys on the next episode of Skilled.